Hello and welcome to Debating the Divine. Today's program is about a conversation between Prophet Muhammad and some dualists who were worshipping light and darkness as the organizers of the universe and who wanted Prophet Muhammad to accept their beliefs. They came to the Prophet and said to him,
"If you accept what we believe in, you will also have to admit that our religion is better than yours. However, if you don't want to accept what we say, we want to debate you and convince you otherwise."
The Prophet did not accept their claims and instead entered into a debate with them. He asked of the dualists, who are believers in two gods, what their reason for their belief was. He was curious to hear why they thought that light and darkness controlled the world. The dualists proceeded with their argument and said,
"We have observed that two discrete characteristics exist in the universe, and these are good and evil. We say that these two things are totally opposite to each other, and because of that, it's not possible for one being to carry out both. That means that there must be two beings, one being that does good and one being that does evil."
They tried to convince Prophet Muhammad of their line of reasoning by referring to the example of things such as ice and fire, and they said to him,
"We all know that just as ice cannot be hot, so fire cannot be cold. And it is the same with good and evil. Good cannot be evil, and evil cannot be good. From this, we have concluded that there must be two creators, one being that creates evil and one being that creates good."
Prophet Muhammad had been listening to this and then brought them an example of his own. He asked them to consider characteristics such as blackness, whiteness, redness, yellowness, and greenness. He reminded them that each of these are the opposite of each other. He then referred back to the example that the dualists had given, coldness and hotness, and explained that just as coldness and hotness can't exist in the same place, those colors can't coexist in the same place either. He asked of the dualists if he was right in saying that, for example, green can't also be blue at the same time. The dualists replied,
"Yes, that's correct. We agree with you on that."
The Prophet then went back to the line of reasoning that the dualists themselves had used, that separate characteristics had separate creators. He asked of them if it is true, then there are separate creators for each color. The dualists didn't know how to respond to this and fell silent. Prophet Muhammad started to show the dualists that their argument didn't work. They had said that light and darkness work together to decide the affairs of the universe. He asked them how it could be possible that these two characteristics mix, and did so by reminding them that lightness goes up, whereas darkness goes down. The Prophet gave them the example of one person walking towards east and the other walking towards west. He asked them if it was possible that the two of them could meet as they were walking in opposite directions. The dualists said,
"No, this is impossible. You're right."
Prophet Muhammad summed up his counter-arguments to the dualists and stated that it is proved that light and darkness can't coexist because each of them moves away from the other. If they can't coexist together, they can't be combined, and so that means they can't be the creators of the universe. He asked of the dualists to think carefully about the argument they had presented to him. They had claimed that the universe was created by the combination of light and darkness. However, he said to them, how was that possible when it was impossible by their own definition to combine these two things? Prophet Muhammad then summed up that the only answer to this problem was that there must be a separate creator, one God, who has power over these two things and controls them. The dualists didn't know how to respond to this and instead said,
"Could you please excuse us? We'd like to retire to have some time to discuss all of the things amongst ourselves."
It is known, however, that they later converted to Islam before 3 days were up. That was it for today, and we hope you check out the next episode on Debating the Divine.